When you have a business, it's almost like you're on an island and there's like one pipe from some fresh water source bringing water to your island. If that's the only pipe, don't touch it. That is the thing that is working. And it wasn't until PGA was working successfully we could say, okay, now we can go mess around with this one because we have new.
Now you just removed an entire vertical from your business for those few months. You're seeing the revenue go down and down and down. The urge is, I want to fix this right now, but you have to recognize that you're taking a step back to reinvest that time into something that then will replace it moving forward.
Everyone wants recurring revenue till they realize it means recurring work.
It's a great one-liner. I think it is the most taxing vehicle.
By far.
My daily schedule these days is wake up, good luck, go to sleep. That's my daily schedule.
Boom. Welcome back to another episode of the Espresso Hour. We've been off for about a month, and I got a DM from someone who said, anytime I see you guys go a significant amount of time without doing an Espresso Hour, I know something is up. I know you guys are up to a new product, no good. Exactly. So we're back with a couple announcements, but it feels good to be recording again.
Yeah, it does. I also can't believe that it's been a month. It feels like we recorded the last one yesterday, which again is a testament to everything we have going on. So
exactly. Where do you want to start? This is the last Espresso Hour from the Shipyard. I think we just get that out of the way.
Yeah, big announcement. Dickie's leaving for the summer. He's going to flaneur around Europe and work remotely, which will be an interesting opportunity for us to build new systems and habits for working together, just like the old days.
Exactly. But I do think, zooming out for a second, why I'm going there.
Okay.
And our thought process on not staying in Miami or not having the Shipyard for another year. So our lease is up in the end of June.
Next month, yeah.
Next month. So you're moving to Arizona in the middle of June.
Perfect time to move to Arizona.
Yeah, right into the summer heat. And it's very hot here in Miami, so I'm getting out of here a little bit early. But if we were staying in Miami, really if you were staying, we'd keep the Shipyard.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense for me to live here and work from the Shipyard, especially with how much more YouTube you're doing. And I made the decision to go to Europe while you're moving because I know we're not going to be able to work synchronously together. Mm-hmm. And then everything can kind of change again in September once you're settled in, once the summer's over. Mm-hmm. And then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, and end of year is usually our busiest time too. You know, you go into Black Friday, you go into end of year FOMO, holidays. Last year we did the team offsite and we did our first ghostwriting mastermind. We'll probably do that again
in Arizona.
Yeah, exactly. In Scottsdale this year. But yeah, I mean we've had the Shipyard for what, like 8 months?
So we signed the lease in June of last year,
but then it wasn't ready
until October.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we signed it in October and then
We've only had this for like 7 months.
We really built it in October. And yeah, someone was asking, like, you guys really didn't seem to use it that much. I disagreed.
Yeah, we used it a lot.
We did 2 live cohorts from here, which was way better than any other cohort we've done. We filmed videos for all of Full Stack Writer and Ship 30 now with this background. Your YouTube has absolutely blown up from this studio. And so for all intents and purposes, it played its role and helped us pay down the ignorance tax of what it feels like to build a physical space.
Yeah, something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and we talk about this all the time, but it's really crystallized for me. Anytime you want to do something new or you're doing something new, you should not spend any time thinking about, oh, what's the outcome going to be? Is it going to be good? Like the outcome literally doesn't matter. The only thing you need to do when you're doing something new is do it, spend the money doing it, spend the time doing it, do it, and then learn. And this is a great example where, we invested $100,000 into building the studio. A lot of it we'll keep, we'll keep the camera equipment.
That's the beautiful part. It's not of all the things like the computer, this teleprompter, this light setup, all the gear, you're going to continue to use. And so it was the setup cost of the agency, which we ended up learning a ton during.
Yeah.
And then the rent of the place, which we would have needed anyway, and it would have just gone to WeWork.
And two, everyone learns differently, but I am so learn by doing type of person. And all of this equipment, I could have watched 50 hours of YouTube videos on all of this and I wouldn't have gotten it. But having it and having to operate it and being the one to transfer the files and make sure the audio's working and it has taught me so much. And actually, as we get into YouTube, learning how this setup works has given me a lot of insight and context around the creative side of YouTube, because I better understand like what are the limitations of the technology, you know? And so that is also a really cool thing. So I don't think of any of this as wasted money or time or effort at all.
No. Going from there, want to jam on the last 4 weeks and kind of what we did. So the way we thought about it was I set a date where I was going to fly to Barcelona and be out for the rest of the summer. And then you were like, okay, we have to do all this on the recording side for Ship 30. So we made the decision. It was nice to have a natural end date. And we've learned this lesson many, many times.
Just pick a date.
You need some kind of end date for anything you're doing. We wanted to take Ship 30 and go from a cohort-based course to an evergreen, always on, immediate join 30-day writing challenge. It took us about 5-6 weeks to do that. And our time went from, the reason we didn't film Espresso Hour was because we did about five-hour sessions of filming the Ship 30 videos. And each time we'd be like, okay, we'll do those first and then we'll do Espresso Hour after. And we'd do like 4 hours, be like, dude, there's no way I talk to a camera for another second.
Yeah, no way.
And that prioritization, I think, is important because as fun as this podcast is, it doesn't directly generate more business revenue. It's really just us having fun and documenting what we're doing.
Yep.
So that was like the first thing to go. And then we just didn't pick it back up knowing we would do that right now. And I think it just got closer to the actual end date than we thought.
You know, so on that topic, something that I find people ask questions about all the time, and we see it in PGA when people are balancing, you know, ghostwriting and providing a service with creating their own content. And one of the questions people ask the most is, well, how am I supposed to maintain creating my own content when I'm like doing other things? You know, you're servicing clients, or you want to build digital products, or you're managing a community, or you have a full-time job, like whatever it is. And just sharing, you know, being transparent, we go through that on a weekly, if not daily basis. Like we'll wake up and go, oh, I really want to create this piece of content today. And then you look at the responsibilities of the business and you're like, that's not happening today. And Espresso Hour is a really great example of nice to have. We love doing it. We see the impact of it. We want to keep doing it. But also during busy times, it is the first thing to go. Like we're like, this is not higher priority than launching this new product.
And I think people have recognized that because that's where the DM came from. They're like, oh, Espresso Hour got cut. That means something's going on.
Yep.
And it was. That was an intense 4 to 6 week period. I was starting to write up everything we've done this year. And we had that nice streak of, it's funny to look at our Espresso Hour cadence and what we built this year, because you can maintain the weekly output if you're not in a full build sprint. And at the beginning of the year, we kind of were in a operational maintenance, like make incremental improvements, so we could talk about those incremental improvements. And I haven't done those business recaps at all for the last 6 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Because, and this was a big realization from that, it's the length of your business recap is usually directly tied to how much you're building. And so when it was a lot longer, we were actually building less.
Because you're maintaining lots of
I had like
things,
10 little things where you like improve this, improve this, improve this. But for like 5 weeks, there was one thing that happened. It was like moved forward, big Ship 30 project. And I just didn't need to talk about it in the team channel.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made for a good Espresso Hour episode. And so that was a big thing. It's like when you find yourself talking about all the incremental upgrades, you're not really in a build time. But when you go, I have one thing we're working on, it's almost not even worth reiterating all the things you did.
Yeah, I think this is a lesson we've learned a lot over the past year, which is whenever you want to build something new or massively improve one thing, you have to very intentionally say, I'm not going to focus on almost anything else for this period of time. And yeah, those 5 weeks working on Ship 30, I don't think I did a single other thing. I would just wake up every single day and spend the entire day working on that thing.
And it's funny to think about, we've now front loaded the fulfillment for the rest of time versus doing live cohorts. And it took us 20 cohorts to figure out, okay, how could we put together a program that was going to work both live and asynchronous or self-paced? And now we felt comfortable enough to go and do it. Yeah. And it's working. People are loving the new 30-day format. I've already seen people go, wow, it was so nice to just know I could jump right back in the next day rather than feel like the cohort was just leaving without me. So we'll see how that impacts sales and revenue over the long term. But even if it's 80% what it was,
from a time perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, you know, I would encourage anyone who wants to build digital products, I actually see now, in hindsight, I see a tremendous amount of value in starting with something that's more cohort based.
Oh yeah.
Because you get so much more feedback and you're able to interact with people so directly. And I think why this evergreen version of Ship 30 is going to be so successful over a long period of time is because we spent 3 years iterating on it, which is very different than someone who sits down and goes, I want to build an evergreen async sort of digital product. They build it one time and then they're like, well, I'm done. No, we iterated on Ship 30, 8 times a year for 3 years,
It's funny. I think we've made a video on how to bootstrap and launch because I've had people DMing me older YouTube videos from like a year ago saying, this was super helpful. And I'm like, I totally forgot we made that. So thank you for saying that and sharing it with us. But there's no reason to start a digital product without bootstrapping the curriculum or bootstrapping whatever it is through almost, it's like a hybrid cohort / service. You're almost working directly with every single person that you build it for. And then if it's worked for 10 people, it'll work for 10,000.
Yeah, it's almost like quote unquote less efficient by design because you want that interaction with people. You want to see what questions they ask. I see so much. I'm really happy that we did it the way that we did. And in the beginning too, we didn't really know. That was just the first vehicle that presented itself. And then over time,
working.
Yeah, it was
I can't
working.
remember who said it, but every time we looked at it, when you have a business, it's almost like you're on an island and there's like one pipe from some fresh water source bringing water to your island. And if that's the only pipe, don't touch it and try to do other things, but like don't touch that pipe. And I feel like we thought about that with Ship 30 as being cohort based. It was like, that is the thing that is working.
Yeah,
and therefore
don't touch it.
don't mess with that. And it wasn't until PGA was working successfully where we could say, okay, now we can go mess around with this one because we have a new one.
Yep. This is also, it's just coming to mind. I feel like let's just throw an advanced thing right in the middle here in Espresso Hour. But another huge learning for us recently in the past couple of weeks after we launched Ship 30, we started working on this bridge at the end of PGA, which we're calling Liftoff, which is essentially like an accelerator for people who finish PGA and then they're close, but they need a little more help sort of getting to the next level before they're ready for full-on scaling, which is more of our back end. And what's been so interesting about that, and we just started it, we just sort of opened it up as a beta, but it's so clear how much stronger the conviction is and higher the conversion is because it's such a direct, you finish step 1, you're ready for step 2, which is very different than in Ship 30. What happened is because Ship 30 leans more general, it's like build a daily writing habit. That can apply to, we attract so many different types of writers. And so it almost, because it's broader, that actually created a different problem for our back end, which was Captain's Table, because people would finish Ship 30 and then they'd go, I'm ready for the next step. And then we actually wouldn't really know how to help them do that next step because so many different types of writers entered the front end. And so just as a meta, this is just something else we've been talking and thinking a lot about, is whenever you're building something, there's a lot of benefit in making that front end thing very specific. And the more specific the front end thing, the easier the back end or the next upsell is, because if you help that specific person solve one problem, the next specific problem that they have.
Right. The more homogeneous the front end, the more homogeneous the back end.
Yeah.
The more dishomogeneous, whatever the opposite of a lot of things for a lot of different people. That makes a lot of sense. And that's what we're focused on building the rest of the summer. We have a hyper-specific front end that is working, people love. Now, everyone who gets to the end goes, what's next? And they haven't had an answer. And we're learning so much about when you have that back end piece, what you can do on the advertising front, on the front end, what you can do in reinvestment into the team. That LTV extension is something we've never really cracked. And I saw the first smidge of it over the last
powerful.
2 weeks, and everything that it has me thinking of, wow, okay, if all that's working, what does that mean we could do on YouTube ads? What does that mean we can do on LinkedIn ads? So that's, while you were really hammering a lot of the Ship 30 written curriculum, I was sinking my teeth into those 2 ad channels, YouTube and LinkedIn, and seeing those start to work now. It's like that's working, plus your organic YouTube working at the same time, plus the back end happening. It felt like and Ship 30 going async. Like the last 6 weeks have been this almost uncomfortable feeling of our plan from the beginning of the year actually is working. It's like, whoa. Something's going wrong here. Like, I thought it was really funny at dinner last night where Ravi was like, I always feel sometimes that I need to create a chaos in the business. I don't know if you guys feel that way. And like, I looked at you and you kind of like, you like looked in your head, you went like this. And I was like, no, that's me. I do that. And you're like, I wasn't going to say it, but that's exactly what happens. And that's, it was just so many moving pieces that came together. And we've been talking about it all year of they're going to come together. They're going to come together. And then seeing that happen, it's almost like an uncomfortable feeling of, whoa, it's working.
Yep. And the discomfort you have to go through in that process. Like something, I haven't had a second to reflect on it fully or write about it, but I feel like February, March, April was such an interesting chapter for us because usually what would happen is we would run a Ship 30 cohort in January. So we would sell for it in December, we would run it in January, and then you would still feel a bunch of that revenue because a lot of people would do payment plans. So you'd do 2 pays. And then when people complete Ship 30, we would then move them into Captain's Table, which would be sort of like another tranche of revenue. And so we had that from December, January, and then sort of trickling into February. But then usually what would happen is February and March, we would be selling into the April cohort. Right. And we decided we're not going to do another cohort. We're going to move this into an evergreen model. And so what happened inevitably, right, is now you just removed an entire vertical from your business for those few months. So February, March, and April, you're seeing the revenue go down and down and down. And like
just slightly, yeah.
Yeah. And you have to like fight that psychological urge where the urge is, I want to fix this right now, but you have to recognize that, you're taking a step back to reinvest that time into something that then will replace it moving forward. Yeah. And it was literally like March 1st, like the moment we turned it on, it was like, 1st. Whoop, or May 1st. It was like, whoop, we're right back. And
there was a lot of psychological, because the same thing happened last April. And I think we made an Espresso Hour about it last April, where last April was our lowest revenue month of the year. The year before, April wasn't the lowest, it was June, because April we had a Ship 30 cohort, but it was like June was the same thing. We were shutting a bunch of things down. That was 2 years ago, right when we moved here, right? We got to Miami, we're like, we need to change this, that, and the third thing, that was the lowest revenue. And so there's been 3 periods now where we intentionally knew that was going to be the worst month of the year. It's still not any easier.
No.
But feeling that go, okay, another chess move. There was not the 1 month, 2 month, 3 month optimal move, but the 12 month, 16, 18 month optimal move. It feels good to make that decision, deal with the uncertainty, and then be rewarded for it because we're starting to see all of that come together.
Yeah. And I think the reason why it's worth just bringing up and talking about is because I really feel like that is one of the hardest things. That's one of the hardest skills in the beginning is you feel like you're just living day to day. You're like, how do I make another $1,000 today? And in the beginning, like that can feel great. I remember those days. Like I was churning out articles making, $200 a day. And I was like, oh, if I do this every day, then and eventually enough days go by where you're like, wait, I am only making decisions for today. And it's like anything in life. You can't just skip from making decisions for today to making decisions 6 months out. You sort of have to work up to, okay, I'm going to make a decision a week out and then a month out and then a quarter out, I think we've gotten better at that.
It's not, it's still hard though.
Oh, it's still really hard. It's still hard.
I feel good about where we're at heading into the summer though, and where we're going to be at the end of September, October, November, where it's funny. We wrote that big plan at the beginning of the year, and then like 2 months in, it felt like we weren't doing anything on it. And now if I go revisit that, it's like we just did those things in literally sequential order, more or less, just kind of moved 1 or 2 pieces around, which again, I said it earlier, but was very uncomfortable. Like when a plan works, you're like, what? Like it actually went exactly how we thought it would. It just felt like shit the whole time.
Yeah, it was very psychologically challenging.
But here we are, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for you to get to Arizona, be in the house.
I'm really excited. That'll be such a fun new chapter.
I'm excited to be 6 hours ahead because I think throughout this year, I've written less this year than any time in the past because it's been operationally heavy time, and have that first chunk of the day is going to be pretty.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn a lot, I think, on what I want to write and create about long term. We were talking about that this morning of bringing more of the operational side that I drop 1 or 2 nuggets on in this podcast, but really building more content around that. So if you have any questions on that, let me know.
Yeah.
DM me.
Yeah. Systems, operations. I think that's a great topic for you to lean into. Something else that comes to mind, I sort of want to just think out loud on it with you too, is we've learned a lot about these different business models. And I've seen a lot of creators, especially in the like Twitter course community, that are pivoting from the cohort model to a subscription model or like community model. And we,
Naive.
we've done that. So we've done
naive.
cohorts, we've done community subscription, and now Ship30 is like async and evergreen. I think Justin Welsh is probably one of the best, if not the best, at selling like low ticket async evergreen. You want to just jam or maybe share a bit on like just the differences between those models that we've seen?
Yeah. And even before that, I think we underestimate. We get like 2,000 or 3,000 views on these episodes, but I've been getting DMs from people on like Instagram saying that are nothing to do with the writing creative space that listen to this. So I think it's good to talk about monetization models more.
Yep.
The thing with the membership is it's tempting to think recurring revenue. That's great.
Recurs forever.
Right. Everyone wants recurring revenue till they realize it means recurring work. And that's it.
It's a great
because
one-liner.
It sounds like, okay, I'm going to get this big, massive membership and they're going to all love the community. So a couple pro tips. If you have a membership, the second someone joins, all the content they unlock is immediately useless.
And devalued.
Devalued, right? So if you think that, they're not going to leave because all the content's in there, not true. They stay because of the prospect of unlocking more content. And so Ravi, who we had dinner with yesterday, has done a great job with his school group because you get in and there's like 5 things unlocked and you unlock a new thing each month. It's not, it's so valuable because I put all this stuff in there. It's actually devalues all of it. They get overwhelmed and then the churn is like, that's easy to churn.
Yep. And if you just think of the math of that, right? Like if the difference between a $200 digital product that has all of that content versus a $20 a month community/membership that has all of that content, right? Like it's actually the same product, it's the same content, but what happens, and you can just look at the churn math, right? Is someone joins for $20 a month, they stay for 3 months, right? Okay, so average customer's paying you $60. Well, it would have been better to just bundle all of that into a low ticket digital product and sell it for 200. And so I think the tempting thing about subscription, and we went through this, for a year, is you think once someone subscribes, they stay subscribed forever. And psychologically, I think a lot of entrepreneurs or creators love this idea where you have recurring, which means you can rely on it forever. And then you're like, I have this customer base, and then that's just what pays me, for the rest of my life. And that's not true. Recurring doesn't recur forever. Recurring,
it's
even
a new
Netflix.
Purchase decision.
Yeah, it's a new purchase decision.
Month.
Right? And so really the math is, what's the average churn rate over the course of a quarter, 6 months, a year? And you might find that once you take churn into account, the LTV of a subscription customer is actually less than if you would have just sold all that content as a standalone digital product. And if you want the recurring to make it into like $200, $300, $400, $500 LTV, you better be creating a lot. And also the other things, it's like managing the community, doing live events. Like it is, I think it is the most taxing vehicle.
By far. The tempting part of running a membership is thinking, okay, let's say there's a course and if I was going to do a membership right now, I would just take whatever I was going to charge the digital product for, so $250 or $350, and just make that the monthly. And rather than try and like cut it in half or cut it in a third, either sell it or just make that the monthly and try and just have a more expensive membership. I think where people fall into a trap is going, you could sell this for $350. So like Ship30, for example. Okay, we just turned to async but also there is a community component. But you pay $350 upfront and you just get lifetime access to it. If I was really going to try to make it a membership, I would go like $250 a month and just say you get to unlock more stuff. And you could probably make like an additional 30-day curriculum that someone could then unlock after a month if we really wanted to do that. And that would probably work. But a bad idea would say, okay, I would sell this for $350 as a one-off. I'm going to now make it 99 because there's something psychological about when you have a membership site. If someone churns, they just don't ever buy something from you again. They're just done. And it's not even your fault. It's if they get super busy and they cut that expense, they're less likely to then go re-up.
And the only time they do is when you're like, I just created this new thing. Right. I put it in. And then it's the same thing as selling a digital product.
So it's easier to just say, okay, you're in here. There is a community component. You're going to pay one time for it. And then deliver them a new product in the future that is just a tangential thing.
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly now that we've experienced this, that if you're going to do something subscription-wise, the real value that you have to think about is not actually the information or the content. It has to be more focused around live sessions or some sort of coaching or some sort of accountability.
I think the best recurring is a paid newsletter.
I was going to say
that's
that
by
is
far
the best.
I mean, we've seen it. The churn is way lower.
Yep.
You can charge less because there's only writing for the fulfillment. I think
the expectation is lower.
I think the best way to monetize a community is pay upfront for one time and then have different tiers where they just unlock more products, but it's not a recurring billing. It's so tempting. So anyone thinking like, oh, it'd be so great to have $99 recurring all the time. Psychologically, people canceling is very difficult to deal with because you're like, oh, another person just decided not to buy. Because the opposite, it's not hard when someone goes to your landing page and doesn't buy because you're like, oh, they just weren't interested. But when someone, it's like the loss aversion versus gain. When someone cancels something on you, you're like, oh, blow it all up. They clearly hate me. And we dealt with that during Captain Stable. It was like, oh, and then you talk to them, they're like, oh, I'm just really busy right now and I can't give this the time. So it doesn't make sense for me to keep paying.
Yep.
And then good luck getting them back because then there's like a undoing justification to themselves. Like, okay, now I want to come back to it.
Yep.
Those are little things that come to mind on the membership side.
Yeah, I really feel like the best what's a value ladder, I guess, where you have products at different price points. I feel like the best blend is super low ticket. If you're going to have something that's like 10 or 20 bucks a month, paid newsletter or SaaS, then a little bit more in the middle. If you're going to do some sort of information product, just make it a low ticket, async, evergreen digital product.
250, 350.
Yeah, somewhere definitely under 500, probably under 400. Ship30 was in this kind of weird middle ground where Ship30 for a while was 800, but it was experiential. So you got information, but you were really getting the experience of it, And I think if you have more of an experience product, that's where you could push from 500 up to maybe like 1500-ish, depending. But we learned that was a kind of a weird middle ground. And because it was cohort-based, your marketing cycles are a lot slower. It's not the best vehicle. And then really you want to contrast, 20 bucks a month paid newsletter or SaaS, low ticket, $300-400 or less, and then just really high ticket where you go full coaching, accountability,
And stay in that range of you could have multiple $300 products that each solve the next person's problem. Right. So it's like, what's what we're doing with Ship30. The back end is full stack writer, which is okay. If you are writing online and you want to start to monetize, these are the 7 different skills that you need to learn.
Yep.
Or if you want full immersion into ghostwriting or write with AI, different vehicles there. But we will not create another $800 cohort-based course.
Yeah.
We will recognize the power of front-loading all the fulfillment for a $250 to $300 course because we've learned the best way to construct that curriculum that actually allows people to go through it, see high success rates, and want to buy the next thing.
Yep.
So this is bad advice if you're not creating a great product because then you go, okay, I'll just make this one $250 and like that will be kind of good, but the real good thing will be after. Same thing people do with their content. It's like the reason we are pricing Ship30 at $250 instead of $800 is because we know it's worth way more. And we've proven that people will pay way more for it. And so now people go through and go, I cannot believe that relative to other things out there for $150, $250, $350, like the amount of stuff and the roadmap and the way it's put together, we're already seeing it. People going, the fact that we were able to take a cohort-based onboarding and apply it to a self-paced course. Someone was like, I've been in 50 of these like low-ticket products, and this is the best onboarding I've ever had. Because why? It used to be a cohort-based thing, and so we just duplicated that full infrastructure, and now it's a roadmap that people will actually execute rather than here's a bunch of modules. You're probably not going to look at these, and since that, you're not going to buy the next thing.
Yeah, and just to sort of recap and crystallize, we would still encourage, if you're brand new to creating digital products, you should start with something more experiential. Start with cohort based, start with one-on-one coaching, start with something that is more manual and less quote unquote scalable, because that is what's going to teach you a lot. And the natural progression for everyone is, in the beginning, it doesn't really matter what vehicle you pick. You just have to pick a vehicle so that you get moving. But the natural progression, and we see, every time we get to a new level, is you question the vehicle. And then you're like, okay, I got to here. Now, is this the right vehicle for the next stage and the next stage? And usually that means you have to change the vehicle, but that you shouldn't try and have all that figured out day one,
Gonna be exciting few months, man.
I'm very excited.
We are gonna keep doing Espresso Hour on the road, though.
You have your mobile set up?
I got the mobile set up, too.
So what's your, just real quick to wrap it up, what's your travel schedule?
So Sunday, 2 days from now, my lease is up. I'm on a plane to Barcelona. Girlfriend's best friend's wedding is the Sunday after, so we'll hang out in Barcelona and then off to, I can't even say it because she might be listening and it's a surprise where we're going after that. So we'll see when this goes live. But then to Amsterdam after that, which will be a lot of fun. We have a couple Espresso Hours from this time last year, or like late. I was there in August last year, but I was looking at back through our YouTube, and we did like 3 or 4 episodes from that place. So I'll be there for the summer. I can only spend 90 days there, so I got to kind of figure out where to go after August. But full plans after that are get to Arizona and spend 3 months together building into Black Friday, and then
that'll be a lot of fun.
We'll see from there. Do an in-person event.
Daniel's coming out to Arizona.
Hell yeah,
that'll be big. I'm very curious to see what that unlocks for Black Friday. Like us 3 in a room together.
Right.
That'll be a fun LAN party.
That'll be a lot. What else? How you feeling about moving?
Just ready for it to all be done.
You're going to London.
Going to London next week. Running it back round 2 with Ali Abdal. That'll be
a lot of fun.
I still can't believe the response.
500,000 views.
Yeah, just on YouTube.
Yeah.
I bet the podcast on Spotify is just as much. But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Maybe I'll see a couple other people in London. I love that city. I love spending time there.
Just look both ways. That was my qualm about it. As a big walk through the city guy, I hated almost getting hit. By the end, I was like, "Get me out of here."
You've lived in New York,
but no, they drive on the other side of the street, and so I walk and almost got hit every time. And so I love walking through the city, and I couldn't because the beautiful part is you can walk on autopilot in a city that you know which way to look. But I had to be so present with my walk. I was like, "Sucks." I want to be daydreaming and thinking about whatever I'm doing as I go through the city. And luckily, they have the chalk on the thing that says "Look left."
Oh yeah,
because
of all the Americans.
Because all the Americans. I'm like, thank you for having this, because I'd be walking down with like my AirPods in, and every time look right, boom, almost get clipped. So and I was very jet lagged and whatever. But
that's key man risk.
Key man risk, exactly. And Spain and the Netherlands and pretty much every other country drive correctly, so we don't have to deal with it.
When I was in St. Lucia, that was surprising. They drive on the other side of the road.
Because they're British colony.
Yeah. Didn't know that. I got in the cab and was like, why are you turning?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is it. This is the last of this Shipyard.
This has served its role, man.
Thanks, Miami Shipyard. You've been great. And who knows? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll have a new one. Maybe we won't. But if we do, it'll probably be larger. There will probably be a gym.
You're going to put these in your house, right?
Yeah, I'm going to keep those chairs.
Those are good. I hope you find a place for that table. That table's sick.
So I asked Daniel. Daniel said he wants the couch.
Hell yeah.
So I'll give him the couch, but the table...
You wouldn't use that as a dining room?
Actually, maybe.
I just would hate to see that one go to waste.
I know,
That's
same.
such a cool one.
Same. I'm going to do a whole... You know when like YouTubers or vloggers do the... like
welcome to my house.
Welcome to my
the house tour.
Or like the studio where they show the before and after. I'm gonna do that because I have a vision, and I'm gonna. And there's a like semi big. It's not really that big, but it's like a semi walk-in closet. I'm turning one of the bedrooms into an office.
Okay.
And the closet is like a semi walk-in, and I'm gonna rip out the all the shelving. And I'm gonna pad the whole thing so it's like a recording booth.
Sick.
And then that's how I'm gonna start doing like audio.
You're gonna start rapping.
And raps, obviously. I might actually.
Yeah, dude. Actually, the audiobook, I think everyone's begging for it.
I know. It's been on my list for 3 years, and I'm like, I just need to rep this out.
Yeah, lots of good stuff on the horizon, man.
Yeah, we got big dreams.
Secret word. Good luck. How about just good luck?
Good luck.
Good luck.
Dude, I was telling you, I was like, dude, my daily schedule these days is wake up, good luck, go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's my daily schedule.
And I think that's going to continue over the next. Actually, I don't know. This is about peak open loops.
No, this is peak. I think once we get through the next month and a half, things will start to crystallize. And yeah, we say that every time.
And then you're gonna be pregnant. And then, there'll be a whole new loop at that point, hopefully. Sorry, y'all. So that's all we got. If you're on Spotify, could you hit that 5-star button or whatever it is? We're about to hit 100 or something, 100 reviews on it.
Really?
Yeah, wow, which is awesome.
Exciting.
Hit the 5-star button to help us get 5 stars. If you're on YouTube, smash the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and that's all we got. Thanks for watching. We'll be back abroad for the next Espresso Hour. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Everyone.